Strange.
Never seen the sky do this. It feels wrong.
Impossible and terrifying.
We all just got woken up to some disturbing sound all through the whole area.
Cameras caught them anyway. And now, the world is watching what shouldn't be seen.
There's like an 8-foot person beside it. Another one's inside, and it has big eyes and looking at us.
On a beach in Mexico, a man looked up and froze. High above the sea, resting against the clouds, enormous buildings seemed to float in the sky. They weren't faint shapes. They looked solid, detailed, almost like a hidden city, suspended in midair. Shocked, he recorded the moment and shared it online. Reactions flooded in. Some believed it was a floating metropolis revealed by some unknown phenomenon. Others argued it was a rare atmospheric illusion, clouds bending light into familiar shapes. Whatever the explanation, the sight of towering structures hanging over the ocean left viewers questioning whether they had witnessed nature's trick or something far stranger. Miami liftoff. Traffic stopped through Miami when drivers saw something no one expected. An old-fashioned car, the kind that belongs in a classic film, slowly rose above the jammed lanes. There were no visible wings or equipment attached. It simply lifted into the air and glided forward, leaving stunned drivers staring through their windshields. Phones came out, but the moment passed quickly as the vehicle drifted away from sight. Some joked about time travel. Others blamed advanced technology. Whatever it was, that quiet liftoff in the middle of traffic felt like reality had briefly rewritten its own rules. Motionless plane.
Clouds are moving. Look at the bird. We're still driving. Look at the road. That's insane. It's stuck.
While driving down an open road, a man noticed something impossible in the sky. A plane hung above the horizon, completely still. Cars moved, wind swept across the ground, and everything around him functioned normally. Yet the aircraft did not shift an inch. It didn't drift forward or bank sideways. It simply remained frozen in position, as if pinned to the sky. The longer he stared, the stranger it felt. Planes aren't meant to pause midair without hovering systems, and this wasn't a helicopter. It was a silent, unmoving silhouette, defying the motion of everything else around it.
Clouds are moving. Look at the bird. We're still driving. Look at the road. That's insane. It's stuck.
River rock. On the edge of a river in China, a man held up a solid rock to show its weight before tossing it into the water. Instead of sinking instantly, the stone settled on the surface and stayed there. The river flowed calmly beneath it, but the rock refused to drop. It didn't bob like wood or drift like foam. It simply floated, steady and unmoving. The water looked ordinary, clear, and undisturbed. There were no tricks visible at the moment. What should have disappeared below remained in plain sight, leaving everyone wondering what made that river different from the rest. Walking the surface. Out in the open water, a fisherman witnessed something that made him question reality. In the distance, a man appeared to be walking calmly across the surface of the sea. He didn't sink or struggle. Each step looked steady, as though solid ground lay beneath him. There were no visible platforms, no splashes marking hidden supports. The figure simply moved forward with quiet confidence. When the video surfaced online, reactions split instantly. Some called it an illusion. Others imagined abilities beyond explanation. But watching someone treat water like pavement left a lasting image that was difficult to dismiss. Suspended chopper. Have you ever seen a helicopter completely frozen in the sky? In this footage, one appeared locked in place mid-air. Below it, traffic flowed normally, yet the aircraft did not drift, tilt, or adjust its position. It hung there as if pinned to an invisible wall. Onlookers from nearby buildings stared in disbelief, trying to make sense of what they were seeing. Helicopters can hover, but not without subtle movement. This one seemed unnaturally still. For a brief moment, it felt as though the world kept running while one object was left behind, suspended in a silent pause. 5 suns at dawn.
It's like the world just doubled down on the sun.
Morning light usually arrives gently, but this sunrise felt different. Along the horizon, not one but several bright suns appeared side by side. 4, maybe 5 glowing circles burned with equal intensity, casting a strange brilliance across the sky. They were aligned almost perfectly, each shining as boldly as the other. For a moment, it looked like the world had duplicated its own star. Some suggested it was a rare atmospheric effect, bending sunlight in unusual ways. Still, standing beneath a sky that seemed multiplied felt both beautiful and unsettling, as if nature had briefly revealed a version of itself rarely seen.
Never seen the sky do this. It feels wrong.
The Miami incidents. In Miami, 2 glowing objects hovered over the horizon, catching the attention of countless witnesses.
Oh my God!
Hours later, a strange noise erupted in a nearby neighborhood before sunrise, startling residents into calling emergency services. The response was strangely absent. Later that day, heavy police presence surrounded a local mall after reports surfaced of unusual beings causing panic. The area was sealed off quickly, limiting recordings and public access. Rumors spread that something significant had occurred behind closed barriers. With limited footage and unanswered questions, discussions grew. Some believed authorities knew more than they revealed, fueling suspicions of a carefully managed silence. Frozen stream. A man turned on a tap and witnessed something that looked impossible. Water poured out, yet the stream appeared completely frozen in midair. It didn't ripple, bend, or splash the way flowing water should. Curious, he placed his hand through it and felt the steady pressure of liquid moving past his fingers. Even the puddle below showed almost no visible disturbance. To the eye, it looked paused. To the touch, it was normal. The contradiction made it unsettling. Watching something behave correctly, yet appear entirely still, created a strange disconnect, leaving viewers unsure whether they were seeing a trick of perception or a true break in reality. Blue rain.
How much would it take for you to drink that water?
A storm rolled across Texas like any other, dark clouds gathering overhead. But when the rain hit the ground, people noticed something shocking. The water pooling on roads and campsites wasn't clear. It was bright blue. Drivers stopped mid-step, staring at the unnatural color spreading across the pavement. Campers found the same vivid liquid collecting beside their tents. Some suspected contamination from chemicals or waste. Others pointed toward weather modification experiments, wondering if something had gone wrong. The rain continued falling, tinting surfaces in an eerie shade. Whether it was pollution or a rare atmospheric reaction, the sight of blue rain left residents deeply uneasy.
It's been raining, and the water that's coming out of the sky is blue. And it's not this tarp, because it's happening on this tarp too.
Washington night roars. In the middle of the night, a young woman in Washington, D.C. jolted awake to flashing lights and thunderous roars across the sky. The noise repeated, shaking windows and stirring neighbors from their beds. Calls to emergency services revealed others had reported the same disturbance.
We all just got woken up to some disturbing sound all through the whole area, 911, and they said they've gotten...
At first, Many suspected a catastrophic failure at a nearby power station, but that explanation was quickly dismissed. Outside, the sky looked unclear and offered no obvious source for the chaos above. With no official answer and no visible aircraft identified, the booming sounds faded as mysteriously as they began, leaving behind restless questions. Zigzags over California. From the quiet stretches of the California desert to the outskirts of Los Angeles, witnesses looked up at something they couldn't explain.
What the hell? What is that, Mom? Mom, you see this?
Bright objects were seen zigzagging sharply across the sky, changing direction in ways no conventional aircraft could. Some described classic saucer-like silhouettes. Others saw only glowing spheres streaking unpredictably through the night. Families stepped outside, pointing upward in disbelief as the lights darted and vanished, then reappeared miles away. There were no visible trails, no engine sounds that matched the speed. Whatever crossed the sky that evening moved with unsettling precision, leaving behind confusion, doubts, and a lingering question of what was really seen. Bird glitch. While walking through open fields in a small Mexican town, a man noticed a bird behaving in a way he couldn't explain. Its wings flapped steadily, feathers shifting with each motion. Yet the bird didn't move forward at all. It stayed fixed in the same position, as if pressing against an invisible barrier in the sky. This wasn't a case of a frozen silhouette. The wings were clearly active. That was what made it stranger. Despite continuous effort, there was no progress. Watching a creature built for flight struggle against nothing visible created an eerie perception in his mind that the world may be more mysterious than he knew. The drifting vessel. Ferry operations in Washington were suddenly disrupted when a massive unmanned vessel drifted silently into the docking area on December 12th, 2025. Nearly 100 feet long, the boat carried no lights and showed no sign of a crew. In busy waterways, even a small error can cause disaster, and this dark silhouette posed a serious threat.
Yeah, boat crew for the next boat.
Witnesses watched anxiously as officials scrambled to assess the risk. Questions spread across the docks about whether the Coast Guard had been alerted. Though no collision occurred, the sight of an abandoned ship gliding aimlessly into port exposed how vulnerable such hubs can be to unexplained and potentially dangerous intrusions.
I've seen a lot of things in my...
The doorbell figure. Shortly after reports from ET sightings in Las Vegas, a woman in Compton reviewed her doorbell footage from around 1 a.m. What she saw unsettled her deeply. A tall, unfamiliar figure moved across her property in the darkness. Around the same time, another nearby homeowner recorded a similar shape, watching from a distance. The figures appeared unusually tall and moved in ways that didn't seem entirely human. The descriptions closely mirrored earlier accounts from Nevada. As clips circulated online, discussions were fueled rapidly. Whether misidentification or something more extraordinary, the late-night recordings added another layer to an already expanding mystery. The Magnolia Impact. In the early hours of April 15th, 2025, residents of Magnolia, New Jersey were shaken awake by a thunderous boom and blinding flash. By morning, an auto repair shop owner discovered a massive hole torn through his roof and heavy machinery dented as if struck from above.
Well, now to the mysterious object that fell from the sky and then damaged an auto repair shop. It left a hole in the roof at SNL Automotive.
Security cameras captured what looked like a fireball crashing through the structure.
You eventually see like a giant fireball come through the ceiling.
Investigators suggested an object may have fallen from the sky, yet no debris was recovered from the scene. The absence of physical evidence only deepened the mystery, leaving the community unsettled as officials searched for answers that never fully arrived. The Las Vegas encounter. Reports from Las Vegas intensified about strange objects when a family called emergency services claiming something had landed in their backyard. They described towering figures with large eyes watching them from the darkness. Officers responding to the scene reportedly witnessed unusual activity and partially captured it on body cameras.
There's like an 8-foot person beside it. Another one's inside, and it has big eyes and looking at us.
The claims surfaced alongside renewed talk of hidden information regarding unidentified aerial phenomena. As word spread, neighbors shared their own strange observations from that night. Though many questioned the details, the combination of eyewitness accounts and official response kept the story alive, fueling debates about what truly appeared in that yard.
I'm not going to BS you guys. One of my partners said they saw something fall in the sky too, so that's why.
2009 broadcast signal. In 2009, households across Florida, Texas, and Colorado experienced a chilling disruption. No matter what channel viewers switched to, the same cryptic emergency-style message appeared on their screens. It repeated without clear explanation, creating a wave of confusion and fear. The message felt deliberate, almost coded, and social media quickly filled with theories. Some believed it was a hidden warning. Others blamed a malfunction within the broadcast system. Yet no definitive answer ever fully satisfied the public. The unexplained interruption remains one of the most unsettling television anomalies. A moment when normal programming was replaced by something disturbingly unclear. Strange stones. Walking through the woods, a man noticed a stone hovering inches above the ground. There were no strings, no supports, nothing visible keeping it aloft. As he stared in disbelief, he spotted another doing the same. Curious rather than afraid, he gathered the stones and took them home. Experimenting, he connected wires from the stones to a small bulb. To his shock, the bulb flickered to life. The rocks appeared to store or generate some form of energy. But how could ordinary stones defy gravity and produce power? The discovery raised more questions than answers, leaving the phenomenon completely unexplained. Frozen runner.
I found a glitched person. They look like they're running, right? They're not.
Inside a parked car, a woman waited for her brother when movement outside pulled her attention. A man nearby looked like he was sprinting at full speed, legs driving forward, arms pumping hard. But he wasn't actually going anywhere. He remained locked in the exact same spot, as if an invisible barrier stood in front of him. For nearly 5 minutes, the motion continued without progress. Cars passed, everyone moved normally, yet he stayed trapped mid-run. It didn't feel like a joke or street performance. It looked like a scene stuck on repeat, leaving her wondering what kind of glitch she had just witnessed.
They're staying in place. They've been there for like 2 minutes. What?
Midnight Circle. Under the dim glow of night, several cats moved together in a steady circle. They weren't the same breed or size, yet each followed the exact same looping path. Around and around they went without hesitation, as if guided by something unseen. Hours passed, and the pattern never broke. Even as darkness turned into early morning light, the circle remained unbroken. For anyone familiar with typical cat behavior, this felt different. It didn't resemble play or hunting. It looked rehearsed, almost mechanical, leaving observers to question why the loop continued long after it should have ended. Floating faucet. Outside a quiet home, a man recorded something that made little sense. A broken tap hung in midair with nothing supporting it. Water flowed smoothly from the spout, pouring downward as if attached to an invisible wall. There were no pipes visible, no trick photography apparent. The stream behaved normally, splashing onto the ground below. He walked around it, showing every angle, yet the faucet remained suspended. Plumbing issues couldn't explain this. The scene looked complete, yet incomplete at the same time. Watching water flow from something that wasn't connected to anything left him questioning what rules were being ignored. Hand in clouds. In recent years, strange sky phenomena have intensified, and one clip left viewers speechless. Blinking lights pulsed unnaturally overhead before something even more disturbing formed in the clouds. What looked unmistakably like a colossal human hand stretching across the sky. Witnesses pointed in disbelief as a massive unknown object hovered nearby. At first, many labeled it extraterrestrial. Later reports, however, connected the event to the high-frequency active auroral research program known as HAARP, a government-funded initiative studying atmospheric effects. Officials describe it as research into ionospheric activity, yet theories persist that artificially generated frequencies can influence cloud formation and weather patterns, fueling ongoing controversy. The vanishing couple. Outside a quiet cafe, a couple sat peacefully at their table. In a sudden instant, they were gone. Witnesses blinked, unsure of what they had just seen. There was no movement, no sign of them running or hiding. One moment they occupied their seats, the next, the chairs were empty. Bystanders searched the area, expecting to find some logical explanation nearby. Nothing appeared out of place except their absence. The simplicity of the setting made it even more disturbing. It felt as though reality had briefly opened and closed again, quietly removing them without leaving a trace behind. Florida's second light.
That's there. That's there.
And there's not the sun.
An evening sky in Florida drew attention when a bright red-orange orb appeared beside the moon. It wasn't faint or distant. It glowed strongly, almost rivaling the moon's presence. Side by side, the two lights created a striking contrast against the darkening sky. Videos spread quickly, with viewers debating what it could be. Some dismissed it as a natural occurrence, while others whispered about artificial experiments in the atmosphere. The steady glow lingered long enough to create curiosity. Seeing what looked like an extra source of light hanging so clearly overhead left many wondering whether the sky was changing in ways few expected.
That's there. That's there.
And there's not the sun.
Running nowhere. This video will make you question reality itself. A man appeared to be in a hurry, sprinting with urgency down a street. His arms pumped, his legs moved rapidly, and his posture showed effort. But there's one problem. He wasn't moving forward at all. He remained fixed to the same exact spot, running in place as if stuck on a treadmill no one can see. Then, just as suddenly as it began, he stopped and calmly walked away as if nothing unusual happened. The seamless shift makes it more strange. It's the kind of moment that feels less like a coincidence and more like a brief glitch no one was meant to notice. Frozen over Indonesia. Heads tilted upward in Indonesia as a single bird hung motionless in the sky. It wasn't gliding or circling. It simply stayed fixed in one position, wings outstretched without the slightest movement. Minutes passed, yet nothing changed. Concern grew enough that a rescue team arrived, trying to figure out whether something invisible was trapping it. They even lifted a long stick, attempting to reach the bird, but it remained just out of range. No wires were visible, and there were no signs of injury. The stillness stretched on far longer than it should have. Watching a creature built for flight remain suspended like that left everyone quietly unsettled. The paused dogs.
Couldn't believe it. You could see the leaves moving and all the bushes, but the dogs were completely still.
A hunter, his wife, and their dogs were deep in the woods when reality seemed to freeze around them. The dogs and even a nearby bird suddenly stopped moving, stuck in place as if the world had hit a pause button. Leaves and bushes swayed normally, yet the animals remained perfectly still. Minutes later, everything resumed. The dogs ran, the bird flew, and life continued as if nothing had happened. The brief moment left them stunned, questioning whether they had just watched a glitch in the fabric of reality. Frozen aquarium.
What's going on? Why are they standing still?
While exploring a local aquarium, a woman came across a scene that made her stop cold. Inside one tank, every fish was completely motionless, frozen in place as if captured in a photograph. She tapped the glass, expecting a ripple or twitch, but nothing moved, not even the smallest shrimp. The stillness was eerie, surreal, as though reality itself had paused inside the tank. Stunned, she questioned whether she had just witnessed a glitch in nature, a moment where the ordinary rules of life seemed to have been suspended.
What's going on? Why are they standing still?
Split storm.
ये लगी है बारिश और यहाँ कोई बारिश नहीं है.
In Scotland, a local witnessed something that looked carefully divided by nature itself. Rain poured steadily over one section of land, dark clouds hovering directly above it. Yet just beyond that boundary, the sky was bright and clear, untouched by the storm. There was no gradual fade between weather patterns. It was a sharp contrast, like a line drawn across the sky. No strong winds, no shifting clouds blending the two. Just a perfect split between rainfall and sunshine. The scene felt staged, almost artificial, leaving observers wondering how one small patch could exist in a storm while everything around it remained calm. Vanishing ball. During a professional basketball game, something unusual caught viewers' attention. A player appeared to pass the ball without clearly releasing it, yet his teammates somehow received it. In another moment, a player held the ball while scoring, and within a blink, it vanished from sight. The rest of the court looked normal. Players moved naturally. The crowd reacted as expected. The transitions were smooth enough that many didn't even notice. But replaying the clips raises questions. Was it a camera angle, a trick of perspective, or something stranger? The seamless nature of the moments makes them linger longer than ordinary gameplay mistakes. Statue horses.
This is so weird, you guys. It's so weird. There's one over there.
On a rainy afternoon, a woman stepped outside to check on her horses. Instead of seeking shelter or shifting in the drizzle, they stood perfectly still. Not relaxed stillness, but complete rigidity. Every muscle seemed locked in place, their bodies frozen as if carved from stone. The rain fell, the world around them continued, yet they didn't flick an ear or swish a tail. Uneasy, she began recording, capturing the unnatural quiet. There was no visible threat nearby, no sound to explain their behavior. The longer they remained motionless, the more it felt like time had briefly stopped, leaving living creatures suspended in silence.
This is so weird, you guys. It's so weird. There's one over there.
Missing Christmas ball. The night before Christmas felt ordinary as a mother filmed her daughter playing outside. A small ball rolled near the girl's feet while she nudged it gently with a stick. Then, within a blink, it vanished. 1 second it rested on the ground. The next, it simply wasn't there. The camera kept recording as they searched around the yard, checking corners and nearby bushes, but there was nothing. There was no sound of it bouncing away, no slope for it to roll down. It was as if the object had been quietly removed from the scene. Even after replaying the footage, the disappearance remained unexplained. Living shadows. A quiet evening in Japan turned strange when a man noticed something unusual about his shadow. As he moved closer to nearby objects, their shadows seemed to stretch toward him, almost reaching for it. At times, they shifted slightly on their own, even when nothing else moved. Curious, he tested it by lifting different items and adjusting their positions. Each time, the same subtle motion occurred, as though the darkness on the ground had intention. It didn't behave like ordinary light and shade. Watching shadows interact in ways they shouldn't have left him wondering whether it was an illusion or something harder to explain. Vanishing slippers. Late at night, a group of friends laughed as one casually tossed a pair of slippers high into the air. It was a simple joke, but the laughter quickly faded. The slippers never came back down. They didn't land on a roof or snag on a branch. They simply disappeared above them. Everyone stared upward, waiting for gravity to do its job. Nothing fell. There was no strong wind, no visible obstruction, just empty sky where the slippers had been. The moment shifted from playful to unsettling in seconds, leaving the group unsure whether to brush it off or question what they had just witnessed. Frozen bird. One calm morning in Canada, a tourist filmed a sight that didn't make sense. High above, a bird hung perfectly still in midair. Its wings weren't flapping, and its body didn't tilt or drift. Nearby, another bird flew freely, proving the air currents were normal, yet this one remained fixed, like a paused frame in a moving world.
Vean este pájaro, no se mueve. Lo estoy viendo yo.
Seconds stretched uncomfortably as the stillness continued. There were no wires visible, no structures supporting it. Watching the footage later only deepened the mystery. Nature rarely allows such precision in suspension, making the moment feel less like coincidence and more like something disturbingly out of place. Riderless bike. On an empty stretch of road, a man spotted something that made him slow to a stop. A small bicycle was rolling steadily down the center of the street with no rider in sight. It didn't wobble or fall. It moved smoothly, as if guided by careful hands no one could see. There was no downhill slope strong enough to carry it that far, no visible string or push. The silence around it made the scene even stranger. He watched, frozen in disbelief, questioning whether he had just witnessed a simple illusion or something that quietly defied logic. Fleet above New York. Passengers flying over New York began filming when unusual shapes appeared outside their windows. What looked like a fleet of glowing objects hovered and shifted formation in the distance. Multiple clips from different angles soon surfaced, all showing similar blinking lights moving in coordinated patterns. One traveler even captured a close aerial view of a radiant orb pulsing with shifting colors, too bright and unstable to clearly identify. The objects didn't resemble typical aircraft, and their positioning felt deliberate. As more footage spread, discussions grew, leaving many to wonder whether the sky above the city had briefly hosted something far from ordinary. Crosswalk disappearance. Watch this carefully, because it only gets stranger the more you replay it. A man waiting at a red light casually filmed the road ahead when a pedestrian began crossing in front of a stationary car. Everything looked normal. The person walked at a steady pace, posture relaxed, no rush and hesitation. But as he passed the front of the car, he never appeared on the other side.
Where the did he go?
There was no sudden sprint, no obstruction blocking the view, no visible cut in the footage. 1 second he was mid-crossing. The next moment, he was gone. Frame by frame, the calm disappearance felt less like coincidence and more like reality briefly malfunctioning. The unfinished bite. During a public appearance, something really strange happened when President Joe Biden lifted a slice of pizza toward his mouth. Cameras captured the moment clearly, yet instead of taking a bite, he pulled it back untouched, while appearing to chew and nod as if he had eaten. The gesture looked oddly disconnected from the action itself. Viewers replayed the clip repeatedly, debating whether it was a simple misinterpretation or an awkward pause caught at the wrong angle. The brief sequence initiated confusion online, with some calling it harmless and others labeling it bizarre. A small, puzzling moment became a widely discussed visual anomaly.